All set.
Yeah, so good. So here we go. It's all set. So I'm Guilherme, Guilherme Veiga, CEO of Grupo Malwee. I'm very pleased to be here. I'm happy to be here. I'm honored to be here. I want to thank a few people. I want to thank some people are not getting the sound back here. Okay, so moving right along. So I'm honored, as I said, to be here.
Okay.
We go there? Okay, so so as I said, I'm happy and thrilled. I'm honored to be here. I want to thank RTCC for the invitation for us to be here. Once again, we were at the COP before in Spain, talking about our 2020 plan, some of the results we have gotten until 2019. And we're here today with a big agenda. I want to go through the agenda. I'm going to let me go here. So we're going to talk about a bit of an overview of our sector and our company, talk about what we've done so far, and especially our ESG 2030 plan, some of the milestones and some of the science-based goals that we have with that plan. Then we're going to talk about a bit of marketing and how can branding influence consumers to change their behavior. And then we're going to have a panel, and I'm going to join the panel, and then Marina from Exame is here with us already. And then Rodrigo, of course, from the Global Compact Brazil, and from Ambev, a big company in Brazil, and I'm going to introduce them later. And so the journey here, we are to bring awareness to basically everyone, and especially the consumers. Fashion is second only to the oil industry in emissions, so 8 to 10% in CO2 emissions, 20%. So the fashion business is responsible for 20% of the water pollution, especially in rivers, and then 23% of global chemical consumption. Good. So and 20,000 yearly deaths for its improper use of chemicals in the cotton planting. So what was needed for us? It was a bit of inspiration. We got inspired from our own people, our own employees. A ton of work. It's not to make sustainable production. It's not more expensive, but of course it's a ton of work, and not only internal, but we have amazing partners throughout our journey, and of course purpose. So everybody is talking nowadays of purpose. We of course have. It's not going. Okay, so I guess I'm back. So talking a bit about our company, Malwee Group. So it's 100% Brazilian company. We are over 5 decades old, over 7 different brands in our sector. We cover 80+% of Brazilian cities. For those of you who don't know Brazil, we have more than 5,000 different cities. Um, we sell to over 25,000 stores in Brazil. Um, and we own or either own stores or franchisees, 250 different stores, and of course the digital channels. We produce nowadays more than close to 46 million garments a year, so it's close to 200,000 pieces of fashion products a day, and over 4,000 employees. And one thing that we are very proud of. We are the most transparent Brazilian company in fashion, and among the top 20 more transparent brands in the world in our sector. So it makes us very proud, and we are very accountable for us to continue to be more transparent. Our sites, so we have a main facility in Santa Catarina, basically 2 factories in Santa Catarina, our 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 hub in São Paulo, and of course the Pacajus facility, the site, the production plant in Ceará. Uh, from production, we we start with knitting, so we buy the basically the yarn, and then we go all the way through and to the own stores, either own stores or franchisees. So we knit, we dye, we print, we finish, we cut, we sew, and then we deliver the goods, and we own some of the stores as well. So a very vertical operation. 92% we produce, and 8% is outsourced, and it guarantees us a higher standard of quality, and of course a sustainable and responsible process. So we do it faster, but we can do it with quality, and of course with sustainable in a sustainable way. Suppliers, we have nowadays over 2,000 different active suppliers, some of them direct, so trims, packaging, yarns, chemicals, fabrics, and then of course the indirect. The suppliers we monitor, we partner with them, we do a lot of R&D, and of course we help them to develop, especially small suppliers. So a lot of cooperation with our suppliers over the years. And what differentiates us? Of course, we always talk about purpose. When we talk about purpose, and whenever someone asks me what makes us different, I always say that we have long-lasting relationships. Uh, One is with our people, so we have people working with us or for us, with us for 30, 40, 50 years. We have businesses, so suppliers and clients buying or selling to us for 30, 40, 50 years. And of course, when we talk about sustainability, we always talk that it's our long-lasting relationship with the planet. So, and actions, of course, we talk a lot about, we plan a lot about sustainability, but we have to act. So we just act. We move our industry, we invest a lot, we do a lot of R&D with, as I said, suppliers, and then we just do it. Innovation, we lead our sector in CO2 reduction, water reduction, and different natural resources use per garment or per piece. Transparency, as I told you guys before, we are the most transparent in our sector. We can do better. I think we are accountable for being more transparent with the consumer. So more power to the consumer. I'm going to talk a lot about it today. Uh, our people, of course, we attract purpose-driven talents for quite some years already. But more important than that is that they stay with us. They choose to stay with us, and every day I get LinkedIn messages and people from all over wanting to work with us because they get to know a little bit more about our work on ESG. And our goal is to be much more than only a fashion company, as you will see a bit in the presentation today. And what we are dealing with, we're dealing with greenwashing, as we talked a lot about these past days. Where do we draw the line? Now, where is what where is good to talk to the consumer about the subject, and where is misleading? So, what's the point of? And I ask here of brands addressing SG through the marketing department, and then when you go and see what they have done, it's basically very or slim to none. What's the point of having a brand doing one sustainable T-shirt, which accounts for less than maybe 1% of the SKUs of that particular brand? What's the point of having one carbon-free dress, for instance? So reducing a carbon footprint for one SKU basically changes nothing as well. And what's the point of retailers neutralizing scope 1 and 2? So we're talking and we're seeing a lot of brands neutralizing their carbon emissions, but for retailers, it doesn't take into account the production of the goods they sell. So we are neutralizing carbon on something around 4% of the emissions of that particular retailer. So isn't this misleading? As I asked before, where do we draw the line? Where most of the time it does nothing for the planet. So our company has neutralized its emissions back in 2007, when no one was really talking about it, and we did it with our owned forest reserves, and we had 100% of that production, of our production, of all the goods that we sell accounted for. So, but we choose not to only neutralize our carbon emissions by either owning forest or buying credits from different forests, but to do it through innovation, through R&D with our colleagues, with our partners, and with our suppliers. So it is possible. And where is the missing link here? We believe that the missing link is to have transparent brands that really communicate with the consumer. As I said before, more power to the consumer. In groups, they have a lot of power if they just start to ask their their preferred brands of how do they make that goods that they're selling, and I'm sure that the industry will follow and will move a lot faster if that is the case. So this is one wasteland in Chile from clothing. So it's close to 40,000 tons of clothes a year coming into that particular site. This is our brands. So our brands address ESG differently. So each and every one of our brands address ESG. So we have adult brands, kids brands, and of course the DNVBs, so the digitally native vertical brands as well. Some of them are joining us. Some of them we're buying to like plug them into our sourcing and to make sustainable fashion to more and more brands each day. Making fashion for the people, the business, and the planet. We're doing it for decades. But what can we really do better? One is mobilization. So how to bring together again, suppliers, consumers, competitors, different brands, more and more transparency. I believe we have room to be more transparent, even more transparent to the consumer, especially through our brands. So our brands communicating every day better with the consumer, giving them the knowledge to get to ask their favorite brands to do the same and to go after more sustainable way of doing business. As I said, more power to the consumer, and then share what we have accomplished so far. So we're going to talk a bit later of what we're launching today. And we're going to connect basically our competitors and all of our sector and open our doors to show them what it's already possible to do on a more sustainable way. So influencing others to join us in our journey, or in the journey, the sector journey, because we know it's possible, and we've done a lot so far. I'm going to give you a lot of initiatives today and a lot of numbers as well. Let's check if the video is gonna work here.
O tempo não para, não volta, não espera. É hora de repensar o tempo que as coisas duram. Precisamos rever hoje o nosso olhar para o futuro de tudo. Cada vez mais o mundo precisa de pessoas que juntas façam o futuro hoje. É isso que move quem faz o Grupo Malwee. Fazemos moda sustentável, que acompanha a vida, que cria memórias, que conta histórias. Nossa história é feita de relações que atravessam gerações. É assim entre nós, entre nossos clientes, parceiros e o planeta. Porque tudo que o Grupo Malwee faz é para durar. É para o bem das pessoas e do planeta. Porque para fazer o mundo durar, precisamos começar hoje. Grupo Malwee, porque o mundo foi feito para durar.
So this was our manifesto. I'm going to show you a bit of how we support the community. We've donated direct donations to our communities of over 250 million reais over the past years in health, in education, but we are a lot more focused now on children and the environment through the Malwee Institute. We have a park which is amazing, and it's over 1.5 million square meters. It's open to the public. We have 16 different lakes, 35,000 planted trees over there, and 250,000 visitors per year. We always say that the Malwee Park is our biggest symbol of our commitment into ESG or sustainability or to the environment. This is a photo of our park there, and the park is there. We launched it or we opened to the public in '78. So when no one basically was talking about the environment, it was already there, open to the public, and a lot of research and scientific research is done there. So this is 1.5 million square meters. We have different forest reserves. One is the Malwee Mountain, 1.4 million square meters, open to the public as well. Different water springs and other reserves that account for 4.3 million square meters combined. And I'm going to give you a bit of our history here through some of our milestones. Of course, our foundation back in '68, and then the Malwee Park was launched in 10 years later. So we have museums there, and different museums, and then 2012 we got certification of ABVTEX, which is association in Brazil, very important. And then we launched 12 different commitments, ESG commitments. We didn't call it ESG back then, but we launched 12 different commitments through the ODS that we chose that in 2012. 2014, we built everything from there with the lead certification. We signed as a member of the Global Pact in 2015. And then in 2015, we launched our first public ESG plan, the 2015 until 2020 plan. And then we launched for the first time our first sustainability report, the GRI. In 2017, we were a member of the Brazilian chain of ACV, which does a study of the whole product cycle evaluation. 2018, we were highlighted as a Brazilian company in the evaluation of Transparency Index for the first time. So the most transparent company in the country. And back then, one of the 10 more transparent in the world in our sector. 2019, we were the first to sign the business ambition, 1.5 Celsius that everyone talks about. We created the institute back in 2019 as well. We became a signatory member of ABVTEX as well, and we went to the first COP in Spain in 2019, and then in 2020 we were awarded the best of ESG from Exame magazine from Marina here in the fashion category. And in 2021 we're launching a different positioning for the group. The world was meant to last. We participate in the World's Water Week this year, and we're launching, of course, the 2030 plan here. Now I'm going to talk about some of the actions that we took and some of the results that we've got so far. So we're going to talk the environment and then social after. So now, first, I'm going to talk about water. The fashion industry it's big in its water use. We use, as a result of all of the initiatives that we had on your right side. We got the results on the left side. We use at least 25% less water per product than any other brand in Brazil. This alone saves 350 million liters of waters from rivers every year. We remove 30% less water from rivers in absolute value. Of course, we grew during our last plan from 2015 to 2020, and throughout the whole chain, we reduced 10% the use of water per garment or per product. So this is water. Now, climate change, CO2 emissions. We had a goal, I believe it was to reduce close to, 20 or 25% over 5 years in greenhouse emissions or CO2. And we got to reduce by 75%, 70% on scope 1, 95% on scope 2. And this was major for us. Of course, in our new plan, we're committing to a lot more, but we got to reduce 75%, not buying credits, but through innovation, neutralizing, changing boilers, changing our energetic matrix, and so on and so forth. 4% of reduction per style produced emission in all of the scopes, so scope 1, 2, and 3, and 7% of reduction from inner consumption of energy per style produced. Material resources. So we have now 91% of all of our products using sustainable processes or raw materials. 24% of all of our styles with raw materials of less impact. So this is a lot of collaboration with our supply chain. So, for instance, the jeans I'm wearing, the T-shirt I'm wearing a T-shirt with cupuaçu softener, which is a fruit in Brazil. So, use of organic cotton and so many different more sustainable raw materials or processes. 18% reduction per style in the use of land throughout the chain. So this is major in our especially in our scope 3. Circular economy. So this is of course big because there's a lot of waste. So 5.3% of everything that's in waste, it's clothes. We basically don't see it because whenever we don't want a piece of fashion of or product, we give to somebody else or we do a donation. But eventually, this production of 80 billion pieces of garments a year produced, they will end up somewhere. So in 2008, we launched the first clothes produced with recyclable polyester from PET bottles. Which we talked with Ambev earlier today to do a partnership there, and we use so far over 85 million PET bottles, and we transform it into in fashion. And in 2011, we started to use shredded cotton. This yarn comes from the reuse of fabric waste from the textile industry. We increased by 17% the use of shredded cotton, 81% of increase in the use of recyclable polyester. And then we did a lot of our R&D as well here. We partner with Repassa, which is a digital secondhand selling in Brazil, partnerships with Roupateca for renting clothes. And of course, we invest a lot to have a higher quality product that lasts longer. Waste. We reduced 61% of our waste over the past 5 years. And we reduced 79% from the waste that was headed for industrial landfills. So selective garbage monitoring a lot throughout our chain, and transforming waste from cutting to different subproducts for new yarn fabrication since 2010. A little summary on these actions. I think, and I really believe that the change is happening. It could happen a lot faster, but we're getting things done. Basically, we use less water. We are the ones reducing the most CO2 emissions. We were first to neutralize our carbon footprint in 2007, and we are pioneering in many sustainable products or technology, either in process or in the production of the garments. So we launched, I believe, 4 to 5 months ago, the jeans with 1 glass of water, which we're going to talk a bit more later. We were the first in the world to do it. We call it the most sustainable jeans in Brazil. So a pair of jeans takes over 100 liters of water during its process, and we do it with 300 milliliters. So it's 98 or 99.8% reduction. Dyeing with natural resources, we do dye now with blackberries, flowers, leaves, and everything. So we can do now a few different colors. Cupuaçu softener, which is the t-shirt I'm using. So no chemicals there. We use a fruit basically to do the softener. Recycled polyester, recycled cotton, circularity, and so it's a lot going on. Some of our actions here and results on social teams. Decent work. So we're among the 20 most transparent brands in the world, as I said before. Green label on the Moda Livre app since 2016, which evaluates a lot of fashion brands in Brazil. 58% of our suppliers are already being evaluated in social and environmental standards, and 83% of all of our service providers already certified with ABVTEX. Of course, we are the ones doing all the checking with our chain, so implementing ethics code for 100% of suppliers, auditing every supplier basically. Some of them we audit weekly, some of them monthly, and so on. And we partner a lot with Sebrae in Brazil, which is it's very big and help us a lot to develop different suppliers from sewing services and different parts of our chain. When we talk about diversity and inclusion, 66% of our employees are women, 68% on leadership roles, 30% on management, 40% women on our board, 4% with some kind of disability, 25% are young, and 0.5 are over 60 years old. So we have brands that encourages children development and different initiatives and actions here as well. And now we come to our ESG plan, the launch of our 2030 ESG plan. It's a lot of numbers, again, of the goals we are committing to in a very transparent way here. A video here of how the plan was made or built.
A grande missão do nosso plano ESG 2030 é contribuir com os desafios da sociedade, né? Os ODS, os Objetivos de Desenvolvimento Sustentável, estão com suas metas determinadas para 2030 e nós temos muitas urgências, né?
Fornecedores, clientes, consumidores, para a gente tentar juntos aí fazer um plano ainda mais integrado, né? E não só olhando para dentro e como a gente produz uma moda mais sustentável, mas como é que a gente consegue influenciar outros, e em especial os consumidores que exijam mudanças aí das outras marcas também no país.
Questões que temos que tratar são bem complexas, né? E para isso é necessária essa aliança entre todos os atores, governo, sociedade civil organizada, os próprios consumidores, além da iniciativa privada. Mas para mim a união desses atores é que realmente pode fazer a diferença e pode provocar as transformações que a gente tanto almeja no mundo da moda.
Eu acho que o que a gente pode pensar melhor daqui para frente é como trabalhar a moda sem que a moda gere um consumo excessivo, que é uma das coisas que está realmente afetando muito o planeta.
O mundo está evoluindo, está em constante transformação e a gente precisa acompanhar essa evolução. Então, esse norte de 10 anos, eu acho que é extremamente importante para a gente conseguir olhar no longo prazo e saber que a gente vai conseguir alcançar os nossos objetivos lá na frente.
Eu acho que o grande desafio nosso é justamente tirar essa indústria da inércia e volta para o papel do consumidor. A gente quer trazer uma visibilidade, dados e fatos para o consumidor para que ele exija essa mudança e a partir disso a indústria deve mudar muito mais rápido.
So as you saw in the video, the plan was built in the Malwee Park. So the images there in our park. So it took us over 6 months of preparation to do the plan, 3 months of reference research, and then many stakeholders got involved, more than 100 people involved from our employees. And then from the plan, we took out some of the social and environmental goals that we're choosing to do, which is more impact in our company or in our sector. So climate change, of course, water use, material resources use, decent labor, racial diversity, and gender diversity. We applied different methodologies to build a plan. Of course, we went through people, business, and planet. We used the Donald theory. It's a well-known theory that considers an economy prosper when it doesn't break, and then it sees the ecological limits of the planet, circular economy, and the SDG, Sustainable Development Goals, as a humanity point of connection with our business. So I'm going to show you our goals for 2030. So environmental goals first, climate change. So after a reduction of 75% of emissions from our previous plan, we're committing to another 50% of reduction in scope 1 and 2 in relation to 2019. Goal 2, 58% of greenhouse gases from purchased materials and service. So reduction of 58% per style produced internally, and to be net zero until 2050, according to everything we have already committed and signed, but through again, innovation. Use of materials. So we have a goal of having 100% of our products produced with raw materials, either raw materials or processes with less environmental impact in its production until 2030. Increasing the circularity principles on our business, as well as increasing the use of materials from circularity in our operations. Eliminate 100% of plastic used in our packaging, with 100% of packages of renewable and recyclable source. Goal 3, promote recycling and reverse logistics in all of our value chain. Water use, reducing another 30% of the water used per piece in our factories until 2030, comparing to 2020. Zero substances restricted in the effluents of our industry until 2030 as well, and calculate the organizational water consumption and promote actions of water reduction throughout our value chain as well. Our social goals here, decent work. First, ensure 100% of tracking and transparency of human rights condition in all of our supply chain. Keep 100% of the suppliers on excellence level in human rights. Get to 100% of critical suppliers certified. No tolerance to violation in all of our supply chain, of course, to slavery, child labor, harassment, irregular foreigners. And goal 3, structure interactions to advance in the promotion of decent salary. On gender diversity, maintain at least 50% of women in all of our leaders, leader levels, wage equality between genders in all functional levels, and encourage the value chain, our value chain, to adopt goals of gender equality and embrace the development of women entrepreneurs. Racial diversity, having at least 35% of Black or indigenous, reaching regional representation reflected on the company until 2030, and promote race equality and inclusion on the value chain, encouraging racial knowledge until 2025. So these are some of our goals. How do we keep going from here? We feel very challenged and very committed and very accountable as well. We are clear of our responsibility, and this is what we chose to do. 2022, next year, will be a year of execution, of strengthening our partnerships and strengthening the communication with consumers through our brands, because, as I said earlier, if consumer behavior changes, the industry will follow a lot faster. We believe in lasting relationships, because the world was meant to last, and to make the world last, we must start today. And I'm gonna call here another Guilherme Moreno. He's going to present how brands can interact with consumers in a transparent way. So this is like innovation meeting transparency.
Thank you, Guilherme. Thank you all. I'm so glad. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you. Let's talk about Malwee and what we think about the future, our values. Well, when we talk about Malwee, it's such a responsibility, because we are planning together a future without dirty fashion. That's really weird to say, but what is dirty fashion? When we look forward here, this image, it's very shocking. What we see here, this is supposed to be a desert. This is supposed to be a place where people don't throw away clothes. And what we see here is an amount of clothing. And that makes us think, does fashion need to cost the future? Is that really the image we want to see?
O mundo vem mudando muito, e isso precisa mudar. É hora de repensar o tempo que as coisas duram e que a gente vive. Rever hoje nosso olhar para o futuro de tudo. Da água, do clima, das pessoas, do planeta. Escolher o que compramos e levamos para casa, pensando no que deixaremos para o mundo depois do uso. É por tudo isso que a Malwee faz moda sem ponto final. Roupas que acompanham a vida, que criam memórias, que contam histórias. A moda sem ponto final que a Malwee faz começa nas mãos de quem produz cada peça. Fica por um bom tempo no dia a dia de quem veste e depois, quando é repassada, ganha o coração de quem recebe, formando um ciclo de carinho feito para durar. Com a malha sempre nova, com as cores sempre vivas, com aquela sensação gostosa ao vestir que não passa com o passar dos anos, que não se perde a cada nova coleção, que não acaba com o uso. Em tempos em que tudo muda tanto, o que dura muito, muda tudo. Malwee, moda sem ponto final.
Yes, for sure. We don't think that's normal. That's not the fashion we want to see in Malvi. We believe in a different way to make fashion more sustainable and a different impact for the environment. We believe we can be more sustainable, more responsible, and more reliable. Because when we talk about sustainable fashion, as soon as ESG got in fashion, people are talking a lot and doing nothing. That's why we want to break this rule and make another kind of fashion. We also make everything to last, from our relationships to our fabrics. We think of fashion made to last, a long life together. And we think as sustainable fashion is made for all. It needs to be democratic, it needs to be affordable, easy to find, and we are present in more than 20,000 stores in Brazil. And that's how we think our sustainable fashion can reach everyone. We were there since the childhood. We have this connection, we have values, we have thought a lot of generations using Malvi throughout these years. And we make undisposable fashion because we don't think fashion needs to last only for one season. Life is not one season. Life is made of people and nature, and that's what we believe fashion is made of.
A sua calça jeans vale o futuro da água? 20% de toda a água poluída no mundo vem da indústria da moda. E grande parte dessa água é usada para produzir jeans. Por que gastar mais de 100 litros de água em um único jeans, quando podemos usar apenas um copo? O jeans mais sustentável do Brasil agora é feito com um copo de água. Menos água para o seu jeans, mais água para o que realmente importa. Malwee, moda sem ponto final.
I bring here a case that makes us really proud. We just change everything when we talk about jeans. If you had the chance to buy a pair of jeans with 98 less water consumer, what would you do? If you have the chance to buy the same jeans you're used to wear, but done in a different way, more sustainable, what would you do? That's how we think about doing jeans. This is not normal for us. We don't think about using 100 liters of water in only one garment anymore. Does it look normal for you? Now we do jeans with only one glass of water, and we are proud of it because it's a revolution on fashion industry. And it happened thanks to a lab. We were pioneer in the first 5.0 laundry in Latin America. It's a revolutionary way of making jeans because we change the way things are done. And now the jeans we are wearing is better for you and better for the future. Now I bring another case.
Isso não é apenas um copo d'água, é uma transformação. Enquanto uma calça jeans convencional precisa de até 100 litros de água para ser fabricada, a nossa usa apenas isso, um copo. Uma prova de que dá sim para fazer moda cuidando do planeta. Foi com isso em mente que somamos forças para criar o Malwee Transformer, um grande laboratório de inovação para transformar a indústria da moda brasileira. Malwee Transformer é uma revolução no jeito de fazer moda, com 4 frentes de atuação. Para ter mais produtos sustentáveis, desenvolvemos soluções, parcerias e colaborações com outras marcas. Para ter mais empresas comprometidas com a biodiversidade, abrimos nossa casa, a nossa indústria, iniciativas e boas práticas. E convidamos todos a pensar com a gente em novas soluções. Para ter mais pessoas cuidando do planeta, oferecemos informação, cursos e eventos que espalhem esse novo jeito de pensar. Para ter mais mentes criando moda sustentável, atuamos no desenvolvimento e na formação de novos profissionais, porque juntos podemos transformar a indústria da moda e o futuro de todos nós.
Well, this is the first time we are talking about this project because we believe it's time to raise the bar and change the fashion as it needs to be. Malwee Transformer was born to gather new initiatives and people, company for a better way to do fashion. And how are we supposed to do this? We based it on 4 steps. The first one, we'll talk about more sustainable fashion. It's about partnerships, it's about collabs to make fashion for good in a different way. The second one will bring us to information. We need an information hub to talk about how we think about fashion and about sustainable fashion. And then we think this is all about information. If you have the information, you already choose to move on. The third step is based on exchanging business. We open our house to call people to come here to see how we do things, and then we exchange information about it. That's our way to think, how can we go and move forward for that? And the last one, we'll think of fashion since the beginning. It's our educational project that will gather some institutions to build courses and to build new fashion, sustainable fashion designers. Let's change the future together. That's what Malwee thinks. Thank you.
Vocês não precisam. Vocês vão me escutar falar aqui. Isso aqui é só você. Acho que a gente pode ficar sem assim. Só checa que isso aqui tá funcionando. So let's move here. So thank you, Guilherme, for presenting the 2 innovations that we brought this year. And we're going to the second part of our presentation here. I'm joined by 2 friends. Marina is with us here, reporter at Exame, specialized in the coverage of diversity, responsible for the annual production of the Exame Diversity Guide, one of the most important business publications in Brazil. And Rodrigo Figueiredo from the Brazilian Global Pact board, VP, Vice President of Sustainability and Supplies at Ambev, as I said, a major Brazilian company, engineer, corporate MBA, and several different courses at INSEAD, Wharton, Stanford, and so on. So thank you again for being here and joining me. Let's start the panel. We're gonna have 3 questions, and then we have a few minutes to go through each question. So 1, I just presented our 2030 plan, how we're dealing with some urgent themes for our business and the consumer, having the power of transforming the sector if they were given the right tools. We were pioneers in many initiatives, and we're bringing this and other goals based on science to our plan. Therefore, our first question is how to make it understandable for the consumer, the environmental impacts on the production chains with all of its complexity, like carbon emissions and climate change and everything, letting the team surpass the exclusive technical and corporative forms to the consumers. How do we get there? Marina?
I think this is a really big challenge. I think this is a real challenge to marketing, like Guilherme said. And as a journalist, this is my challenge too, because when we talk, for example, about COP, I don't know if people in Brazil in general know what COP is and what is important to their lives. So I think transparent is a way, like you show now, but we need to improve the information about that. I think social media could improve this, but we need more information with some new ways. For example, I was with Chay Surui, indigenous Brazilian here 2 days ago, and she was telling how it's difficult to explain to people what is important when we talk about this challenge to indigenous people and how include these people in the society. So it's very difficult to talk about environment in general and do this in a transparency way and clear to all people understand. For example, again, when I told to some friends I will came to COP, a lot of them doesn't know what is. So I think we need some steps ago to explain how we're talking about that, how some brands are doing different products, and Malwee is an example of that. And I think pandemic is important too, because some research show how people now is more conscious about products they are buying. For example, Ambev do some jobs with hospitals, and company is in some lists to valuable brands, and was important to be in these lists. So I think it's important to do different things, but it's important a lot of more narratives and jobs in marketing to show how this is happening.
So I think, first of all, I would like to congratulate you and the team for the great job, not only what have been done, but also what you are planning to do. And it's a big example to be followed by some other companies in Brazil and maybe around the world as well. So big congratulations. I was impressed. And going back to your question, so I totally agree with her. That's a challenge. And nowadays, I think everybody, because of the internet and all this stuff, everybody's overloaded of informations. And it's a challenge for the communicators, so the marketing team and the journalists and everybody who need to reach some audience, how to simplify the message and make the message also interesting. So if we start to talk so many things about what is, in our case, sustainable agriculture, what is water efficiency that we have, what is the watersheds that you take care, what is circular packaging, what is climate change, what is the renewable energy challenge that you have. So the consumers start to be scared and lost the attention. So let's go for the next Instagram post and move on. And I think the challenge that we are facing in Ambev with our brands is how the brand can connect with some strong commitment that we have, embrace, and bring this to the brand proposal, and then try to communicate in a simple way and in a sustainable way, so to keep consistent, because it doesn't matter if you do one nice movie in one season and then next year we'll forget about this, or the next ad you'll forget about this. And I think it's a long journey that need to be simple but sustainable, and you need the experts, the journalists, the marketeers, to help us in this challenge.
Thank you very much. You were asking me before if in the apparel sector the consumer was caring already of it, and the response is a bit of the same. We're starting to see the change, but of course you have to communicate a lot different. Maybe we already know what not to do, how not to communicate, but maybe we can do better in informing in maybe in a fun way and not Second here, so we believe that information and knowledge can mobilize the transformation that we need and push more and more companies to have relevant public commitments. So in Brazil, out of the thousands of different fashion brands, nowadays we have 5 Brazilian companies committed to the business ambition. So only 5 out of thousands. And I'm in the global pact in Brazil. I'm responsible for getting those signatures from my competitors. So I know how hard it is to get them to have like public goals. So 4 from fashion. The climate crisis will affect all business. It doesn't care if you sign a thing or not in the raw material supply, such as cotton and viscose, the polyester that comes from petroleum. It will affect the consumer purchasing power. The question is how to move business goals, and then maybe we start with Rodrigo, how we move business goals to somewhere that really contributes to the most challenging questions of humanity. Quoting here the 17 goals of sustainable development, how to move those goals to reach some result here.
So thank you for the question. Is a very important question as well. And my view is that all the companies need to connect the goals with the business, doing the matrix that is the standard way to understand the materiality and what is the impact of their business in the world, was the shareholders, stakeholders, all the stakeholders they expecting for the company to prioritize. And then my view is that the first step is to understand how is the business and the company business is correlated to with the issues that you have. We have many issues. Focus, bring this to the strategies for the company, the center and the priorities of the company, and then establish the long-term view like you did before, and now they are reviewing, and understand that you need to go step by step, always using the science-based approach. Otherwise, it's greenwashing, And I think it will be the next question that they're going to ask. But my view is, if you do not connect the business with the SDGs or the issues that they want to attack, there is no way to find. But when you connect, and then I believe that people with purpose, technology, innovation that to come, you help us to connect again with the consumers. You help us to engage the investors. You help us, like you showed, your own team, because the company who is not take care about diversity, inclusion, the environment, all these kind of issues that you have, in the short future, nobody wants to work anymore. And then that's became the biggest problem for any kind of company, that nobody wants to work, and then the business will disappear. And for me, that's the best way to approach the challenges. It's not easy, but that's my view.
I think it's important to understand how to start, because there are a lot of companies talking about the 17 ODS and doing little bit things in reality. So I think it's important when you said about what is my business and what I need to do to my community, my consumers, and to improve my business too. And I think it's important we need to talk about people, because we are talking about greenhouse and water and greenhouse emissions and water and other things like forests is always important, but we need to put people in the center of this history, because when we talk about people too, we are be able to improve salaries, improve their lives, to offer better water. When we talk about water engines, how is the community in Jaraguá do Sul, city of Malwee, has a factory, for example. So we need to do a better goals, and with people in center of these goals, and nature, people, community, and business together all the time.
Let me just add one thing, and a great surprise that I had, because I lead the most important projects and commitments about the environment in the company. But a lot of them are totally connected with the social and the impact of people. And I totally agree with you that if when you take care about your team, the community, the suppliers, the small suppliers, and so on. So remember that all these ESGs are connected. It's not isolated. The impact is bigger. So I totally agree with you. Nice answer.
Thank you both again. Last questions. Last question. Almost running out of time here. Everyone talks about carbon neutralization, and these, in my view, are all positive actions. But I want to highlight two important points. Then, as I said before on my presentation, the real neutrality of a product, for example, in the fashion sector, where we know that approximately 90% of emissions are indirect emissions. In other words, suppliers' emissions, services, distribution, and everything. So only neutralizing scope 1 and 2 is not enough to fight the climate crisis. First, how do you see these initiatives of carbon neutralization? And especially, how do you believe we can bring companies to a real commitment of emissions reduction? Do you think it's going to be natural and it's going to take time? Can we do something about it other than giving example? So how do you see these initiatives, and what can we do different to make companies embrace these efforts faster?
So that's another very, very good question. So I believe that the best way is to have the right approach. There is no shortcut here. So as you said, if you want to compensate, it's easy, just a question of money. And then it's not helping us to address the big issue that we have. So, and I think the overall organizations and the global compact is helping us to organize, so to understand how we need to do. And I believe that all the big companies, and even the small companies, need to have this approach to first reduce and then to compensate the residual. And now we start to have some rules, how much you need to reduce first, and then you can compensate to claim that you are net zero. And I think all the companies need to approach with the science-based targets. And then the science-based targets are now also are forcing the companies not to have the long-term view, that's important, but also what is the next 5 years. And then you need to set your targets for the next 5 years. And then if you do not reach, okay, we need to understand why and see how to engage. Doesn't matter if you just look to your own company, you need to understand that scope 1, 2, and 3. That's in our case is the most challenge that we have. And I think when you do the right way is more difficult, but the benefit to come. And I believe that all the companies like yours, like mine, and some other good examples that we have in Brazil, like Natura, Suzano, and many others, leading this approach, science-based targets, first reduction, then compensation. The other ones you understand, okay, there is no easy journey here, there is no shortcut, and then everybody will jump. And the pressure comes from the governors, the states, you come from the investors, you come from the consumers, you come from their own people, and there is no way. So for me, it's just a question of time, and everybody need to engage. And the ones who is engaging now, you take that advantage.
I wrote an article about this new approach of science-based target 2 weeks ago, I think. And I think this is important to do a direction to companies. And when we talk about these emissions, we are talking about a lot how buying carbon credits. And I think we need thinking more and do something to really reduce these emissions and not just buying something. Yes, because we are don't commit, the companies are don't commitment with net zero if they just doing that. And I think we are seeing a lot of new initiatives in the next years. I don't know if COP will be in some agreement now, but the business in Brazil about that is really happen, the roles and development. So I think we need to more companies, like you said, to improve these ways and be a model. Yeah. Yes.
A model. Perfect.
Thank you. So kind of a summary here of the three questions. So the first one was including the consumer in maybe a fun way, or knowing how not to do it, sharing knowledge, number two, and then now maybe being a matter of time, and the leaders now maybe taking the advantage of maybe the consumer share later on. So Rodrigo, thank you very much. Marina as well. RTCC, it was a real pleasure here. Thank you very much for the invite again. Yeah, and thank you guys at home, our people, our employees. Abraço a todos aí e obrigado. Thank you.
So, what's your name again? Rodrigo. Okay. Rodrigo, you are a part of the Global Compact. It doesn't matter Brazil or anywhere. Global Compact is one, isn't it? And there are 17 goals, yeah? 17 goals, yeah, to achieve for the private sector. So is the Global Compact also helping the NGOs, helping the indigenous people within their own locations? Because if we talk only about the business, so are we having in the society, we have a people are people, yeah? They are a business and they are a normal people, they are tribes, they are, so how the Global Compact is helping also a non-business, because this is how we can get the results. Because if we just push on the businesses and we neglect the NGOs, we neglect the, let's say, the indigenous people. And another question, how would you explain, or how would you say the support or the input of Global Compact into the biggest problem in Brazil, which is the deforestation? Please.
Thank you for the question. So I'm not the expert of the topic, so I'm part of the board in the Global Compact in Brazil. And first of all, the Global Compact is not only for the big companies. The main challenge that you have, and the Brazil is the zone of the world of the Global Compact that is growing the most with the small companies. And helping the small companies, you help also to address a lot of social issues that we have. So, and let's remember that all the big companies like ours, we also have a lot of suppliers. Though I saw the numbers here, is 5,000 suppliers, over 2,000, and so on. And then the chain start to be impacted. So, and the approach is like this. And for me, so the way that the Global Compact is trying to educate, bringing knowledge to help the companies who not having this kind of mindset, this kind of approach from the beginning, that start with his family in the past or our founders in the past that have this mindset, to embrace the mindset in the right way, understanding where are the big problems that each kind of company is to approach, and then working on that with clear metrics and to get the numbers. I'm also believe that the NGOs are, how can I say, in close collaborations, so that we need to work. And it's not a kind of competition, it's a collaboration. I used to say that for sustainability, there is no competition. So the word is the SDG number 17. That's the partnership and collaboration that need to be done. And talking about the one of the biggest issues that we have in Brazil. No, Brazil, I don't know if you know, but is a country with a lot of issues. Deforestation is one issue. Poverty is a lot of issues. The difference that we have for the rich and the poor people. So starvation is an issue also in Brazil, and we have plenty of issues. And I believe that the United Nations in 2015, when they launched the SDGs and approach the companies with the network of the global compacts, they are helping the countries bring the big companies, the medium-sized companies, and the small companies to help to address the big problems. So my view is that is a combination of efforts. So the global compact is not going to solve all the issues that we have in any kind of country, but I believe that they are helping to bring the knowledge for the companies to address the big issues that we have. That's the main challenge that I believe. Yeah, educate and also to create these connections, to bring more collaborations between sectors, between NGOs or countries and governments and so on. I believe that this kind of bridge and connections to have a stronger collaboration is another big challenge and the responsibility for the Global Compact. I don't know if I answer your question.
Thank you for your question. Thank you all again.
Esse é masculino. Acho que eu só tenho 44 para você. Imagina. Imagina, eu que agradeço. Desculpa, nem consegui te cumprimentar direito, cara. É meio confusão. Tava com Brasil lá. Fez uma... Aí você tirou o fone de novo. Yes. Eu vou tomar uma foto de vocês três aqui na frente da mão. Antes que ela tire.